Hi, thanks for watching my video. Today I'm at First Direct in Leeds and I'm with Paul Say. Hey Paul, how are you doing?
I'm very good, and you?
Fantastic, actually. It's a pleasure to meet you in person, yeah.
Cool.
I've been following First Direct's involvement in the social media space for quite some time. So it's great to spend time with the person in charge of marketing and the vision on that aspect of the business, okay? So you're one of the most loved brands in the UK, certainly in banking, so you've got something unique there, yes?
Yeah.
Great conversations every day on the phone. How do you translate that online and how do you tap into social media?
Well, like you say, we create great conversations on the telephone, and social media gives us that opportunity because social media is about conversations between friends and family, between sort of clubs, groups of people, communities of interest, communities of practice, you know, and First Direct is a little bit of a club with lots of great fans, you know, people who love us, and so it felt like a natural place for us to go as a brand.
So again, yes, you've got a unique positioning there, yes. People are expressing themselves every day, all the time online. So, I mean, you started by listening, correct me if I'm wrong, then trying to build your assets, your presence online, you got the social media newsroom, and then to engage. So, where are you at the moment?
Absolutely. So the starting point was listening. And it was in listening that we actually started to think about the puzzle, which was, you know, does our brand actually mean something in this space? Too many businesses rush into social media and actually their brand means nothing in that space. For First Direct, it did. We are about great conversations. Social media is about great conversations. It's about following people. It's about, you know, people coming together and discussing subjects. So once we'd realised that actually the brand had relevance in this space, we were then able to break out. And we broke out with, first of all, Talking Point, which was very much on our real estate, firstdirect.com.
So basically the ability to ask questions and people could answer, and all the answers would be visible on the website. Sorry, it's for my readers.
Absolutely right, absolutely right. Live and unedited feedback. And it was in that sort of experience, that sort of initiative, that we actually introduced our people into that conversation. So for the first time, our people were engaging in online conversations. And that was fantastic. I mean, just think about the engagement for the people who were working on that project.
And of course, I mean, that's a key element that you usually forgot, and the opportunity as an employee advocacy tool or vehicle and not just customer advocacy. So how excited is the team here being more involved online and on things like Twitter or Facebook?
Right, so think about the history of First Direct. 22 years ago, we were the first telephone bank in the UK. 24/7 conversations. In what was then, in the old-fashioned banking market, very much a face-to-face experience. So suddenly these people were learning new skills. Those people are now being asked to learn even more skills to engage in conversations in the digital age. Now, from an engagement perspective, that's absolutely sensational. Because not only does it mean that the culture around here is all about continuous improvement, but also our people are engaged to adapt those new conversations to the context of the brand, which actually manifests itself in even better CSAT scores and customer recommendation scores. So it's a wonderful opportunity for this brand.
It's a virtuous circle, I mean. Anyway.
Absolutely right. It feeds itself.
And imagine in terms, that's for my readers again, in terms of talent management, in terms of career development, how great it is to work for a company which gives you the opportunity to express yourself and you're recognized for that, yeah. That's very exciting.
Absolutely right, and also there's also if you think about new people joining First Direct, you know, we launched 22 years ago, but there's a whole new generation coming through, and actually social media is already part of their lives. They already engage in those conversations, so being able to do that at work as well, that's an attraction in itself.
I'm tempted to say they expect that. Expectations have changed from an employee's standpoint now, so most of them they will be quite disappointed actually with heavily regulated industries like healthcare or banking, which don't give them access to the tools they use every day usually. But that's a great thing. You talked about club. I love the term.
Right.
First Direct is not just a bank, it's more than that.
Yeah.
People recognize themselves, they're like, they share the same beliefs sometimes or values. You launched like quite some time ago My Little Black Book. We won't insist on that, but the idea was to, because people look alike, similar in terms of values, you'd like them to share their insights and their reviews on restaurants and other areas. Okay? Content on Facebook, Twitter, but especially Facebook, you launched a page recently. You talk about not just banking, but sharing about things, everyday exciting, like topics like fashion, gadgets, technology, food. What's your legitimacy as a brand, and why did you do that?
Well, I think if you think about First Direct, we're famous for the fantastic service that we pioneer every day on the phone and now in the digital age. We also generate huge amounts of recommendation about the service that we provide. Now, if you think about it, people who experience that are demanding high levels of service from other brands that they consume. And when they get that, they recommend that. So actually, First Direct creating spaces like Little Black Book, our Facebook fan page, and now the First Direct Lab, it's a great place for people to share that stuff. Because yes, we've been listening, but now we're starting to, with our customers, share information. Another key step in our social media strategy at First Direct.
Good transition, thank you, Paul. The First Direct Lab launched very recently, like a couple of days ago. Okay,
absolutely.
I've covered it on the day of launch, actually quite a bit on my blog.
Oh,
it's a great initiative. Crowdsourcing, product co-creation. The idea is to throw a few ideas there and have people comment on those ideas. So again, yes, you said it's a more advanced social media initiative so far in terms of engagement.
Yes.
What's your vision for that, and how critical would that be as part of your product development and product management strategy?
Okay, so as I've signalled, it's another step in our strategy. And I think, if you go into the lab and you go and play with some of the things that we're playing with, and we're looking to introduce to our customers, it'll give you even more clues as to where we're going, and we're really excited about that. I'm really excited in particular around the possibilities of rankings. I'm also excited by the possibility of actually getting customers live and unedited to tell us how they'd like us to develop these things. That sets a real challenge. First of all, in terms of transparency, we're going to probably get some painful feedback. So then the next challenge is how we act, and we will be judged on how we act. And so over the course of the next couple of months, you'll see that live on the lab, and I hope people follow us and engage with us and help us with that journey.
And I'm sure they will. After, again, 2 days, you got more than 280 comments, I believe, or interactions on the site, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's the next step after Talking Point, which was, again, a step in that direction. So, again, we understand that, yeah. Where is it that you're going, then? You said in terms of product development or being more transparent as a bank?
Okay. So let's take First Direct as an organisation. I talked about our history. We started out as a telephone centre. We now talk about First Direct as being more than just a contact centre, it's a conversation centre. So if I visualise a future for First Direct, I see our people outside of this room that we're in today engaging in conversations through a multiple of channels. So it's not just the telephone, it's not just through our website and Talking Point, but actually it's through Twitter streams. It may be engaging in forums that are off firstdirect.com, and so actually taking our people out there into the World Wide Web.
So it's all about outreach, basically, and leaving your own assets to interact where people interact, basically. It makes sense.
Absolutely. That almost is, after we've learned and developed the engagement element of our strategy, then absolutely reaching out there is a natural place for us to go.
So can't wait to see you putting that into action, because it's going to be quite tricky as usual to identify where you should interact, if you should interact, all those very valid questions, basically. And another thing is, in terms of structure, so team structure, right? Amanda has done great things since you started engaging on social.
Yeah.
But now it's becoming more and more blurred between departments. So again, what's your vision on that? How many people will interact on social at First Direct in the next few months?
So again, one thing about First Direct is we always look back at our history, and we always root everything in the brand.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fundamentally where we are, and from that comes this, this fantastic customer experience. You referenced Amanda and the great job that the PR team have done. We've learned a huge amount from the listening and the engagement that team has developed over time through the social media newsroom. That has gone into the brand team. Little Black Book,
yes.
Talking Point are evidence of that sort of stuff. As we operationalise social media within the First Direct business, you're absolutely right, those edges will blur. But then as the channel, or as the technique of social media matures, like when we introduced internet banking alongside our telephone banking proposition, the organisation will mature and the roles and responsibilities around that will become clearer and will settle down. And I think the wonderful thing that we have here is that we have a culture which is able to manage that change. First Direct has a history of always managing change and managing with the changing environment that it exists within. And I'm absolutely confident that we'll navigate through this blurred period of time and create something that is really quite magical.
Magical, like it. But you see, so the responsibilities stay with the more experienced people, so probably PR or brand in some capacity,
yeah.
And just the size of the team or people involved, the voice of First Direct spreading throughout the organization.
Absolutely, and it is a cultural thing of ours where we test and learn, or we coach, we share, and through that we'll grow.
And you demonstrated that on Twitter, for instance, when you had the hacking thing, which again was a great commitment and a great example of how to do it and how to respond. It's a live and learn exercise, so it's not just all perfect. We will make mistakes, but there's a premium to make the mistakes first, basically, and counterattack.
Just on that point, though,
please.
There's a huge amount of authenticity in that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about the environment that we live in, the world we live in today, people are looking for authentic experiences. And it is human to make mistakes from time to time, but it's also important to learn from those, which is your point.
The voice and being authentic, two key elements in social and being successful, but I don't like the term, not from a strategic point of view, but from an honest point of view, honest approach, and I think that's what
a brand personality. Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely.
Which is very rare in banking because of the lack of, again, love and reputation, which has been dramatically damaged in the last few years. Yes, just maybe two things. Transparency. First Direct is very transparent.
Yeah.
I'd love to see on your site customer reviews, so deeply integrated into your product and services. Maybe more user-generated content there. Maybe the CEO blogging. What do you think? I mean, what are the odds for the new CEO, Mark? How excited is he with the lab and social?
So first and foremost, all of those things that you're talking about are great ideas, and in the context of our strategy, we're looking at those already. And the First Direct Lab gives you some clues as to where we may go.
It does.
In particular, in terms of Mark Mullen, first of all, you have somebody who understands the brand, is a huge brand fan, and he also is very much of the digital age. He is absolutely social media savvy, and I expect that Mark is going to continue to encourage us, drive us to pioneer in this space.
Good. Customer reviews, so we might see that again at some point on your website, right?
Well, have a look in the First Direct Beta Lab. Give us your feedback, because in our designs for our new website, that stuff is there.
Yeah, one of the key streams or questions asked there is about your redesign, potential redesign of the prospect and the client side. So there's two home pages, or it's quite interesting. Yeah. And reviews might be integrated somewhere there at the bottom. One key thing on reviews is it's a bit like TripAdvisor. The idea is to understand who leaves the review. And I think, to me, that's one of the things which is missing today, was missing on Talking Point, and it's kind of missing on the lab. That's easy, I think, to correct. It's because there's a trade-off. If you ask for too many information, people don't contribute. If you ask for no information, you don't know who they are. So I think there's a fair line there, and I think that would be a great addition to your initiatives.
And that's wonderful feedback, because we walk this tightrope of we want to be absolutely open, and so therefore we don't want to put any barriers to people giving feedback. However, absolutely, that might be a key takeaway that we get from the experience of First Direct Lab, and you may see us build that out over time.
It's a trade-off. It's a difficult question, but
It is.
the more you understand, the better you understand the person. It's like me. Wow, it makes it even more relevant to me as an individual or a client. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Paul.
Oh, thank you.
Anything else you'd like to add on the social media / digital engagement strategy at First Direct?
Hey, well, just keep following us through our Twitter streams and through firstdirect.com. We're going
Facebook as well.
And our Facebook fan page, absolutely. Thank you.
2,000 fans you probably reached. I checked 1,998 this morning at 4:30, so probably around 2,000.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to be doing more of this stuff, and you talk about co-creation. The more people engaged, we can make this such a better brand experience for our customers and prospects alike.
And I'm sure you will, again, leading innovation in the UK banking industry, potentially worldwide as well. Thanks a lot, Paul. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.